What's up, everybody? Welcome to After the Bell. I am Jeff Meacham. I am here. It is Monday, which means the weekend is over. I know, and no, it is what it is. But you had a good 4th of July last week. Some of you took a 5-day weekend. I know Mikey took a 3, so it worked out very nicely. Got a few things to talk about before I want to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Gonna go through the appetizers, get the parsley on the plate and everything. If you're not already reading it, you should be. It's now July 9th. You've had 8 days, not counting today. Cheating Death, Stealing Life, the Eddie Guerrero story. This is the only copy in the house because my copy ended up in a Northridge gutter by mistake and in the trash. So make sure y'all are reading this. I know JJ is well into his part of the story. I'm doing very well on mine. I'm only 33 pages in, and I'm giving y'all crap. So, but I will be diligent. I will finish this one. And this week on Dads, we will do one of the shows on Dads this week. We're going to do the review we should have done on July 1st, which was Mick Foley's first book, Have a Nice Day: A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks. We'll get to that later in the week. Just going to show it off really quick. I'm not going to have on my shoulder the whole show. We still have possession of the Battleground Heavyweight Championship, currently in the care of Rico Dynamite, but in the command of us right now because, well, that's how we roll D18. We steal championship belts and show them on our shows because, woo, pretty. Woo, pretty. Yeah. Anyway, Battleground July 28th, Red, White, and Bruised. Already signed for that. Mikey O'Shea, Extreme Loco, Best of 3 Falls. And I have a feeling that Best of 3 Falls with these two guys is going to mean brutality, mayhem, destruction, chaos, not the worker. And oh, we have another one signed. Okay, what do we got here? I can't. Oh, is that Cadillac? Okay. Also signed for Red, White, and Bruised as of like a half hour as of right now. The brothers Derevko, Sasha and Alexis, most likely accompanied by Commissioner Dan E. Ramirez, against the Working Dead. Chris Cadillac and the New Age Punisher himself, B-Boy. Tag team action. Now, the last time we saw these two teams in the ring together, it was when the Working Dead were getting their tag team title shot against the always brutal Suburban Commandos. The Derevko decided to cause shenanigans, cost the Working Dead the tag team championships, ended up being a no contest. You know Chris and B-Boy are out for blood. We will preview that, of course, coming up on Dads in a couple of weeks. Okay. Enough shilling, enough shameless promotion, because we do enough of that on these shows as it is. And I refuse to be called the Mick Foley of the internet world, because Mick Foley's on Twitter himself. He can do that his own self. Alright. The first questions today, as always, come from the Facebook, well, not always, because I don't always do it that way, but from the Facebook inbox. Jason Simone, do you think that having a heel GM in WWE is pointless since there is now a board of directors that can just overrule him at any point? To me, it seems that what's the point of having this heel boss when there's someone who can just cancel out his choices at any point? Well, you gotta remember, even in the times before there was a WWF commissioner, when Mr. McMahon was still in charge, there was always the other side of the coin. When Mr. McMahon was running the corporation and then the corporate ministry, you had the bastions of sanity in Linda and Stephanie trying to rein him in. And for a brief time when Vince was a good guy in the corporate ministry saga, Vince himself was trying to rein in Shane. And then you had the whole McMahon family power struggle going into WrestleMania 2000 with, each side trying to have their own charge be the WWF champion. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a governing body keep the general manager in check. And, a general manager is supposed to be a unbiased figure. And, we've seen in recent months with the advent of people power, if you will, Mr. John Laryngitis. I'm not going to say what I want to say because the boy's awake. I hate taping these shows with the kids awake. Can I just say that out loud? Because I can't say what I want to say. We tape these shows at nap time. If he gets a nap time. Anyway, with John Laurinaitis being gone, we're going to have different general managers have different agendas. Vicky Guerrero, was general manager for a week, and she had to adhere to the board. You had to have. We had, who else did we have? We had, oh God, I can't even think of it. Teddy Long last week. I don't know who that is. Raise the Roof, I don't know who that is.
Teddy's Little Dance.
Oh, it's
do you not watch the shows on a weekly basis?
I do watch the show. I didn't realize Teddy Raise the Roof. I know he did that stupid little thing where he like puts his hands in front of himself and does this little spaz, somewhat rhythm move that he tries to call dancing. I knew that. But okay. Teddy was in charge. Vicky's in charge. I know Friday on SmackDown, Zack Ryder's in charge. God help us all. But Monday, tonight, who's in charge of Raw? We still don't know the answer to that question, and we may not know until 9 o'clock. What else is there? We've got different people being different general managers. Is there a point to being a heel general manager when there's a board of directors? Is your question, Jason? Yes, because even a heel can get away with, slight shenanigans if done properly and not over the top like Laurinaitis did. Clayton Blum. I talked about the Raw Money in the Bank winner being the first time someone will lose the Money in the Bank cash-in. I talked about that, I believe, either on Dad's or After the Bell last week. Clayton agrees, and he thinks it should be Jericho, the one to win the case. It'll keep him in the main event spotlight, and when he loses his challenge, and it doesn't hurt anyone's character. Plus, after losing, he can come out and say how mad he is for being the first loss, and he can walk away from the company again. That's not a bad scenario. I mean, Chris Jericho is long credited with, coming up with the idea of the Money in the Bank ladder match. He talks about it in Undisputed, which, between that story and the creation of the word fruit, best wrestling book ever, arguably. We're talking about Mick Foley later this week, but there's been great books. Jericho being the first guy to lose a Money in the Bank cash-in would be a great scenario for not only a championship retention by a strong champion like a CM Punk, if CM Punk continues to be champion, but it also would make a great exit strategy for Chris Jericho for him to leave the company again, should he choose to do so soon, or within the next year if he wins Money in the Bank. Cody Proika, he wants to know who my favorite PWG roster member is currently on the roster. Well, you gotta remember, I haven't been to Gorilla in a long time. I believe my last Gorilla show was Bola last year, which was at toward the middle part of the fall, even early fall. So it's been about a year since I've been to Gorilla, but if I remember right, they are still on the roster. I gotta go with the Bucks. Matt and Nick Jackson, Generation Me, if you will. Long friends of all the channels I've been a part of, although, some channels will recognize the fact that we're friends with indie folks. Matt and Nick have always been really cool with us. Great guys. Joey's on the roster, so Joey Ryan's always a perennial favorite, but I think my favorite are Matt and Nick. And I'd like to turn the table over to JJ for a moment to give his answer. That way he can give his point if he. Oh, I wasn't asked for that. I was asked for your opinion with who your favorite is.
They didn't ask me.
So,
and it's been even longer, except for Bola, since I was there.
Okay.
Most of my favorites from Gorilla are retired.
That's true. Human Tornado, for example.
Yeah,
we saw him the other day at Thankertons. So, okay. Well, didn't mean to put you on the spot then. Fine. Okay. But you're booing the Bucks. Shame on you. Shame. What are those heel, horrible guys in the ring that treat the fans like crap ever do to you?
They did not shake my hand.
Damn them. They must be germaphobes. But they're still awesome wrestlers, so it's okay. Alright, Andreas Melvgard Christensen. Yikes. Do you think that Vicky Guerrero would still be in the WWE if Eddie had not passed away? No, I don't. I don't think she ever would have started at the WWE if Eddie had not passed away. She took the job that was offered to her, I think, by the powers that be at WWE because Eddie, was the breadwinner. I don't know if Vicky did. I think Vicky at the time was a stay-at-home mom and wife. I don't know that for sure. But, to get offered a job by Vince McMahon to come and, act the heel, if you will, and, be out of character for your own self is the dream of many a person in the wrestling world. I mean, if Vince McMahon came to the door right now, well, first of all, I'd be embarrassed because all the clothes everywhere, thanks to me. But if Vince came to the door right now and said, I'm offering you a job, what do you say? I'd be like, sure, what do you want me to do? I want you to cut my grass. How much are you going to pay me? Minimum wage. For me. Okay, well, there you go. That works. I'll take it. But yeah, if Eddie had not passed on, Eddie would probably be retired now, I think, at this stage of his career, and he'd be, maybe not the Hall of Fame yet, but he would have been inducted eventually, and I think that they'd be living a happy life of retirement and watching Shaw do her thing in FCW and hopefully on NXT. Is NXT even on WWE.com anymore? 'Cause I don't see it on the listing. So, okay. Alright, I'm going to save this one for last. It's going to be a long answer. Sean Proctor's Great American Bash question. Sean, I'm going to get to you in a minute. Alright, this is from Double A in the back room. He had sent me a mailbag question, so I'm going to answer it for him. Hey Jeff, lately I was thinking about some of the legends like Hogan and Flair, where they lived their lives the wrestler and had the world eating out of their hands and everything. After their illustrious careers, when they was supposed to be two of the greatest retirements in wrestling history, is it safe to say these two icons are currently living out Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler, but on a higher scale? Flair, yes. Because Flair, for whatever reason, can't seem to decide on his wife of the day, it seems like. He's been married, I believe, 4 times. I know he's had divorces 3 times, if not 4 times. I'm not sure if he divorced the 4th one or not. I don't know that for sure. But, 3 alimony checks is a lot of money. And, Flair is not as bad as Mickey Rourke's character, because he's not, having a heart attack in the middle of the ring or, anything like that. He's also not active as much as he was in TNA, recently. He's been off the radar here for a few months. So maybe he's getting himself back together, hopefully. And when he returns to WWE, perhaps as a GM coming into Raw on July 23rd, maybe we'll see him be better. Hogan, no. Hogan had, unfortunately, a very great career, what we relatively was an awesome personal life, and then Nick had his crash and all hell broke loose. Linda divorced him, took him to the cleaners for all his money, and Hulk now is not wrestling full-time in the ring, not even wrestling in the ring at all. He's serving as the GM on Impact and, working behind the scenes with TNA, but he's not living this horrid existence of, having to take a 9-to-5 job and then, weekend warrior type thing like Mickey Rourke did. Hogan is okay. So, Aaron, answer your question. Flair, somewhat. Hulk, no. Alright, this is from the Facebook fan page, and Wayne Martinsky. What would be the greatest singles and tag team match you ever saw inside and outside the WWE? Inside WWE, the best tag team match for me would be the TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17. The best singles match would be a tie between Steamboat Savage at WrestleMania 3 and Brett vs. Owen at WrestleMania 10. So far, so good. Outside WWE, the best singles match would be Flair vs. Steamboat from '89 with Jim Crockett Promotions and WCW, and the best tag team match would be Samoa Joe and Jushin Liger versus Bryan Danielson and Low-Ki from, I believe, Ring of Honor. Very good choices. No question about that. I'd say the best singles match I ever saw inside the WWE would be a tie as well, 3-way tie between those two and Michaels Hart from WrestleMania 12. Those 3 matches were amazing. I just lost my page because I was too trigger happy. Best tag team match in WWE is one I saw live, and yes, these TLC matches are cluster Fs, whatever, but TLC 3. Talking about Benoit Jericho, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian from SmackDown, May of 2001. I was there live. It was an amazing match, an amazing show, and that match sticks on my mind, and you will hear Chris Benoit's name on this show a little bit later, because Chris Benoit is just that awesome, and he deserves to be where he's going to be in my answer, and he definitely belongs in that list of very short list of one tag team match I put as the best in WWE. Outside the company, the best singles match I ever saw was an hour-long draw. We say it all the time on this show. AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, takes PWG from May of 2005. If you have not seen that match, YouTube it. Find the DVD. It's right here somewhere. Let's see if I can see if my magic assistant here can get the cover to me. Oh, so stealthy. Oh, look at that. See that? Didn't even see the other hand. You didn't even see it happen. This is the cover you're looking for on High Spots, on eBay, wherever you're going to look for it. You know, title versus title, Super Dragon 2 revealed as well on this show. Who will be lucky enough to survive? You've got AJ, the PWG champion. You've got Daniels, the TNA X Division champion at the time. This whole show was epic, but this match was sick. Tag team wise, in the companies, in the long history of wrestling, not in the WWE. So I should write my answers down before I do this. I did the whole thing with the other one. The match was really good that I liked a heck of a whole lot was the tag team match between oh heck, it was in Ring of Honor. You know what? The Briscoes and the World's Greatest Tag Team was a good tag team match. Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team, excuse me. That's one of my current favorites, but all time, outside of WWE, I'm going to go with a match that rarely gets talked about anymore. It's one of my favorites. It may not be the greatest of all time, but it's one of my favorites. It was Super Brawl 1991, Sting and Lex Luger versus the Steiner Brothers. YouTube that, folks. Watch it on DVD if it's on DVD somewhere. Good stuff. Good times. Alright, 2 from YouTube, and they're good-sized paragraphs, and from frequent contributors. Detil Godzilla Star. If you could make your own storyline for each main company, what would they be? Okay. He lists what he, what Daniels and Angle in TNA, Sin Cara and Ray in WWE. Likes Ring of Honor, doesn't see enough to make a storyline or a feud out of it. Sorry. Okay. I don't watch Ring of Honor enough either, but I'll tell you right now, this whole Kenny King thing in TNA would be a great thing. Have Kenny King face Rhett Titus. You know, Rhett Titus got screwed out of his tag team title reign. I'd have that right now. You screwed me out of my title, you punk. Come back and take your licking. WWE, right now, I'd personally like to see CM Punk and Bryan just keep on going. Honestly, going to SummerSlam, you know. JJ's going to be at SummerSlam. I might be at SummerSlam. I like to see them have a blow-off, you know, maybe Iron Man match like JJ's talked about before. That'd be pretty sick. And in TNA, you know, what I'd like to see would be a 4-way X Division feud between guys that have been involved with each other at the moment, except for one. AJ, Daniels, Joe, and Frankie. Get Frankie back in the singles mix in the X Division. Get him away from being under Daniels' little spell or whatever, being Chris's little or whatever, and have him do his thing. That'd be great. There you go. Cam rocks your socks. People always say that WCW didn't utilize Bret Hart to his full potential. How would you have booked him in WCW to make him the star everyone said he should have been? That's his first question. Bret was the greatest free agent WCW ever had, and they blew it big time. They ruined him. And then they ended up getting him hurt by putting him in the ring with Greenberg, and it was bad. I would have put the World Championship on him almost immediately. I would have had, you know, the Sting-Hogan thing resolve itself. I would have had Bret be champion by Spring Stampede that year, and not have him help Hogan win the title back. It totally ruined all his credibility. His other question, what do you think of that annoying bastard Michael Landsberg from Off the Record? The man infuriates me. I don't live in Canada. I've never seen Off the Record, but from what I've heard about Michael, he's pretty much an obnoxious little dweeb, so I can see where that comes from. Alright, last question of the day comes from Sean Proctor. It is a goodie. Since SmackDown did a Great American Bash episode, it made me miss the pay-per-view. Do you think they should bring back the pay-per-view or do a best of DVD set? If so, what matches would you put on it? Well, luckily for you, Sean, I have seen many a Great American Bash in my day. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I put on this DVD. And there are 2 WWE matches in here. Actually, yeah, Two from the WWE era of the Great American Bash. After that, after 2004, it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. From 85, I put the TV title cage match between Dusty and Tully. That match was amazing. From the July 5th, 86 show, because there were a couple in 86, I put the cage match between Ric Flair and Ricky Morton. That was a great resolution to a storyline that started in the Omni between the Horsemen and the Rock and Rolls, and Flair and Morton just tore it up. Later that month, two matches from the July 26th bash. Flair versus Dusty, where Dusty won the title in the cage, and then match 5 in the best of 7 for the U.S. Championship, Magnum and Nikita. Great stuff. That was the inspiration for another match that's on my list, and for a best of 7 series that we've seen recently in WWE between Booker and Benoit, and a best of 7 between Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana. Very much the inspiration was that Magnum Nikita series. July 4th, 1987, 4th of July, the first ever War Games. The Horsemen and JJ against the Road Warriors, Dusty, Nikita, and Paul Ellering. If you guys have not seen this match, it's on the Horsemen DVD. Pop that thing in and watch it and just go in amazement. 1988, World Tag Team Championship match, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard versus Sting and Nikita Koloff after Nikita had reformed himself. The next year, 89, World TV title match, Sting versus the Great Muta. Also from that show, Ric Flair versus Terry Funk. Not the I Quit match in Troy, New York, but the match they had on pay-per-view at the Great American Bash. 1990, of course, the world title match between Sting and Flair, where Sting ascended the throne, if you will, and became the World Heavyweight Champion for the very first time. And 91's card, 91 is very much looked down upon. It was the first show literally 3 days after the firing of Ric Flair and his removal from the company and his departure with the World Championship in tow. So they had to make shift the championship match between Lex Luger and Barry Windham. I did not pick that match. It was not a good match, I didn't think. What match actually stood out to me, and maybe this has been a crappy match in hindsight, but I felt it was good, Richard Morton versus Robert Gibson, the Battle of the Rock and Roll Express, the first time they ever faced off one-on-one, at least on pay-per-view. They did not live up to expectations, I didn't think, but I think it was still a very good, solid match. In 92, they concluded the World Tag Team Championship Tournament Finals for the NWA. I would say put that match in there. Terry Gordy and Steve Williams versus Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. Then they skipped a few years and redid the Bash in 95. Didn't pick anything from that show, but from 1996, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson versus Steve McMichael and Kevin Green. That match is significant because it was the initiation of the Fourth Horseman in Mongo. A match was talked about years later to this day, 1997, Falls Count Anywhere, Randy Macho Man Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page. I almost put this man in another match from 96 because it was a great match and ended up going into the bathroom in the men's room there at the Great American Bash, but I put him in this match instead because it's more important. Match 7 in a best of 7 series to face Fit Finlay for the WCW TV Championship later in the night. Booker T versus Chris Benoit. And I also put the match between Booker and Finlay on there as well, just to kind of, see where it led. Because Booker and Finlay was very good too. But Benoit and Booker tore the house down, and if they're ever going to put Benoit on DVD and showcase him again, there it is. Put that match on there. Then we skip ahead a couple years, because 99 and 2000's versions sucked. 2004, Concrete Crypt, The Undertaker versus the Dudleys. I wouldn't put it on there for its greatness necessarily, but definitely for its gimmickiness and for its sheer hilarity. Having Paul Heyman control the urn, having Paul Bearer be encased in concrete, and I'd also put the Texas Bull Rope match for the WWE Championship. JBL's arguably his finest hour as he became the WWE Champion over the late great Eddie Guerrero. That will do it for this week's edition of After the Bell. Went a little overtime there, so thank you all for tuning in this week. Again, all the shows coming up this week. We're going to be filming, Renegade Rants. We're going to be Dad's on Wrestling. RSI's ready to go with MacGruber. Oh my God. And much, much more. Of course, Stat Boy at the end of the week. And the weekend shows will be lists that just we came off the top of our heads and we got from you all. So we will see you all next week on After the Bell. I am Jeff Meacham, and that's the way it is.